welcome to Dragonfly Trading. Glad you found my channel. My name is Carrie. I'm a full-time trader and I'm also a mentor for struggling traders in the crypto and Forex markets. Today's video, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to go over the bull and the bear scenarios and talk about what the most likely option is. If you are looking to navigate these markets yourself and not rely on anybody else's bias, the link is in the description for my course. It is for beginners and also advanced traders. All right, so we're on Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, and let's talk about several things that are important. The first one being is that RSI has broken this long-term trend line on the weekly time frame. But what it hasn't done is broken through what we call the bullish support zone, which is between 50 and 40. We have this little pivot that it's made. What we need RSI to do from this point forward is continue upwards, pushing through the red zone back up into this upper area. Between 60 and 70 is what we call the bullish resistance zone. This is the area that we do not want to see the RSI reject in. If it were to come back up and reject in this area, that would be a big bearish sign. All right, so let's talk about the first count idea. Now, the first thing I want to implement is when you have a 5-wave move, it's always the start or the end of something. Now, the first idea is that this 5-wave move is not done yet, that it's currently in a 4th wave, and that it's pulling back and is going to hold its prior potential 4th wave. With that being said, we do not want to break the 0.5 retrace at 42,877. First, this would be a market structure break, breaking this prior correction, and it will also be too deep to be a 4th wave. Now, typically, 4th waves hold your base channel, and as you can see, it is already broken through that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a 4th wave, but coming past the 0.5 retrace would make that probability even less, and coming into its wave 1 would completely invalidate it. What we want to see Bitcoin do is hold the 0.5 retrace or above and then push up for a 5th wave leading into the 118 area. At that point, we want this 5-wave move to be the start of something and not the end of something. That would mean that it should correct on top of the all-time highs. We want this to turn into a wave 1 and a wave 2. Yes, a wave 2 can come deeper, but typically, to prove that it's bullish, it should correct on top of the all-time highs. Let's see if we get this push-up before we worry about this correction. All right, so let's talk about the alternative idea, and that is that this is a 5-wave move and that it's done. Now, this is not particularly my bias. I don't agree that this is actually the count, but it could be. Now, let's talk about if it's the start of something. If it's the start of something, then it would be a wave 1 pulling back for a wave 2. This pullback should hold and not break this connecting area here. If this is a 1 and a 2, and this is a 1 and a 2 of lower degree, it should hold on top of the higher degree 1 and 2. Let's talk about if it's the end of something. If it's the end of something, then it has to be a 5th wave, meaning that this was a 3rd, this was a 4th, and this was a 5th. Now, if it's the complete end of the run of all of Bitcoin's price action, then we're in for a very big correction. But an alternative is that this was the top of a third wave, meaning that we're looking for a fourth. And if that's the case, it shouldn't break the prior fourth wave degree. So with the two counts being talked about, my bias is that we are in a fourth wave. That is my bullish bias. It looks more symmetrical and it looks more probable. Now, of course, there's always a bearish alternative. And the bearish alternative is that we traveled to the upside in a correction. Now, this can be an ABC or it could be a WXY. At this point, it doesn't much matter what it was. What matters is that it came to the upside in a B wave or an X wave. This at the low was a W or an A. We don't know yet what this leg is going to produce, but it's giving this one a partner. As you can see, it came up into what we call the expanded B pocket. Now I, in my system, allow my X waves to break the top of my W's. I have seen this for years and years and years in crypto. Meaning that this leg will either give us a C wave of 5 waves or a Y wave of 3 legs, similar to what happened over here. Now it can either protect the W and the A wave low, or it could potentially break it. All right, let's talk about the daily time frame. In RSI, we don't want to see another rejection in the 60 to 70 area. We want to see RSI recover out of this low and push up through the 60 to 70 area, like it did back here. This is very important that Bitcoin doesn't transition into a bearish trend. The goal for Bitcoin on the daily time frame is to get back up and over these moving averages. As you can see, the green 50 and yellow 100 are coming right into the 618 retrace, sitting at approximately 64,000. Bitcoin needs to break this connector and flip it to support. If Bitcoin can achieve that, we would consider it back to being bullish. All right, so what does Bitcoin need to do off of this low to make this happen and break through the 618 retrace and get back up to the bullish area? Currently off the low, it is traveling corrective, but Bitcoin could create a diagonal here where it travels in threes and creates a diagonal. At this point, we would want to see a pullback that does not break this support zone. Basically, a pullback that doesn't break this support, and then it pushes up bullishly with a third, a fourth, and a fifth. This would be the most bullish thing that Bitcoin could do right now. An alternative is that it continues to travel correctively and that it bonks its head on the 618 retrace. Let's look back at what Bitcoin did prior. It created a leg, a connector, and a partner leg. At that point, it bonked its head on the prior connector, 618 retrace, and created a bigger connector. Now let's look at what it's doing now. We have a leg, a connector, and a leg that is attached to this leg back here and a middle connector. If Bitcoin fails here and just creates a three-wave move that hits the 618, it's going to give this entire leg a partner to the downside. If it creates a larger connector, meaning that we get 3, 3, 3 or 5, This will be a higher degree connector, meaning that this entire correction will need a partner to the downside, and that will not be good. One of two things needs to happen. Either Bitcoin makes this a bullish 5-wave move, or it just creates a single connector here. It could still have some hope of holding this area, but we do not want to see a higher degree connector. All right, I hope you got some clarity in this video. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.